What's going on, Internet? My name is mflareflare, and welcome back to another episode of Pokemon Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire Battle Spot Single Series. Today is episode number 15, bringing the same team as the last episode of Mega Mawile, Hydreigon, Breloom, Porygon 2, Arcanine, and Slowbro. So let's jump right into the action today. It's been quite a while since I've recorded anything, to be quite honest. But today is going to be story time, and we're going to have a little story. I'm going to tell one of my stories from back in 2015, which was last year when I competed at Pokemon Nationals, as we have a person from Quebec with a 1451 rating, a team of Tyranitar, Heracross, Excadrill, Talonflame, Raikou, and Weavile. So, nice Sandcore going there with the Tyranitar and the Excadrill, possibly bringing the Heracross along with that. His Talonflame kind of doesn't make sense in sand. But common weaknesses, got 1, 2, 3 weak to fighting right off the bat there. 1 resist in the Talonflame, but 2 quad weak to fighting. Bold. And I think my Arcanine is the only thing I think my Arcanine has close combat on it. And I have the Breloom too. So Breloom does well-ish, kind of. But I should be rocking with the Rock Tomb on there for Talonflames, but I don't think I am. Oh well. We'll take it as we see it. Slowbro, aside from the Raikou, does Raikou and the Weavile does kind of well, along with the Hydreigon, especially the Weavile's Rock and Low Kick as most do. Heracross also has a problem with Hydreigon, so I think I'm gonna lead off with the Arcanine here. Get an Intimidate drop on whatever wants to come in, and it handles most of my opponent's team fairly well. Minus the Excadrill, but whatever. And I think we're gonna bring the we can bring Slowbro on the back, and Mawile doesn't do that hot per se, but I think we're just going to bring it anyway. Another Intimidate user on that we can cycle through as a total 369 or 396. So going back to my story from Nationals, so I guess it had been a year ago, I went to Nationals. My opponent's going to lead off with the Excadrill, I'm going to lead off with the Arcanine. I wonder what we're going to see from my opponent. I'm kind of curious. He's going to get the Intimidate drop. Now, didn't see a Mold Breaker, so I think he might be trying to set up the sand here, and I do not have close combat. Not good. So I could be bluffing the close combat here, as he's probably going to want to go for an Earthquake. If I go for Flare Blitz, that should bring him down to maybe his Sash, unless he's banded, which would be a problem. Because then I'm pretty sure Excadrill would outspeed and pretty much take care of me at that point. But I'm just going to fire off a Flare Blitz, see what happens. There's an Earthquake. And that is going to take... Ooh, that's a crit. Welp. Not much could have done there. I don't know if that was roll or not, depending on banded or focus sash. We'll find out, maybe. So there's a decent chance if my opponent brought the Raikou, it's going to come out right now. I'm going to go for a Calm Mind, because why not? So he's going to go for a Swords Dance. Oh boy. So he's not choiced in some way, which definitely leads me to think he's sashed in some way. As I'm going to set up a Calm Mind here. So both of us getting greedy. So I'm going to fire off a Scald. Doesn't really necessarily think this is going to go well for me in the end. So getting back to my story, I'm finally going to talk about that. So Nationals 2015, which was the first year that Pokemon Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire, that does nothing with the Source. That's a +2 Iron Head. So the first year or so not sashed. I wonder what he was. Oh, Air Balloon. Whoops, I missed that. But anyway, Nationals 2015 was my second year playing Pokemon competitively. and I'd actually went to the regional in Wisconsin, done quite well as Heracross comes out. Let's see, can Slowbro take a pin missile if this is a Mega Heracross? Probably not. But I think if I go into the Mawile, get an Intimidate drop, I think that'll be good for me. So I'm going to go out on the Mawile, get an Intimidate off on this Heracross, and so I did quite well at the regional up at Wisconsin, the spring regional up at Wisconsin. That was my second actual in-person tournament that I'd ever been to, and it was kind of I don't know, it's a good experience, and I'd gotten a lot better. Actually learned to actually take notes. If I can offer anybody in VGC any kind of tip, is taking notes. It's a great thing to have. This pin missile does 6, less than 6. Yeah, so that did 4 or 5. That one did a little more. So I doubt this Heracross is going to want to stay in on my Mawile here. I'm just going to fire off a play rough because that's pretty safe. Anyway, so Nationals was a great experience in 2015, but and taking notes is really nice because now I'm actually looking at the notes I took, and boy, they're really, really, really bad. Heracross is going to fire neutral Crows Combat, going to do over half. Intimidate coming in clutch, and as long as I connect with the play rough, this Heracross is history. Yup, now goes the Heracross, and opponent has 1 Pokemon left. But the notes I'm looking at here, so my second round game was against someone who, well, he had a very interesting team. There was that first year, about a month or two before Nationals, there's this big, on Showdown anyway, there's this team of, it was revolved around Audino, Muck, and being able to set up, basically it was those two, and occasionally they threw on a Sableye there. The last Pokemon is a Talonflame, which I'm not that upset about. He's probably going to go for the Brave Bird here. Whatever. Anyway, actually he's going to go for the Flare Blitz. That's going to... Oof. So that's going to end me right there. We'll see what kind of item he has. Maybe I won't have to send out the Slowbro. Damaged by the recoil. Okay, so if he's choiced, good luck as Slowbro, full health Slowbro against Flare Blitz. So it was basic principle was behind the team was using the Audino to Simple Beam the Muck and to try and set up completely, because Simple Beam, it makes your stat increases, instead of being 1 times, they're basically doubled. So pass off, as the Talonflame is going to go for Roost. Okay, have fun. Then I'm going to fire off a Skull and actually take out the Talonflame. So the Muck was there to set up and basically fire off as many minimizes. And you just get set up in 3 minimized, and then stockpile up, and then power punch everything and back. And then the cool thing about the interesting team is the Audino would psych up off the Muck to get all of its stat changes. So basically you're sitting there with a giant 2 walls on the team, and then if for whatever reason someone was able to knock out the Muck, then they bring in either the like a Sableye or something else, and you psych up and copy off the stat changes of the Audino that's just, again, or the one of the Pokemon that's just sitting there, and then just proceed to absolutely run train on everything. So there's been kind of, I don't know, a lot to do about nothing about the effect that timer has in VGC, and whether or not you can or will or should take your full timer. And well, the easy answer to that is yes, because A, it's allowed, it's in the rules, and it's nothing wrong about taking your entire time, even if it's switching in 2 Pokemon after a double knockout. Ugh, stupid. Anyway, so this team, so Nationals was best of 3, and the first game I had against this guy, I ran through, basically didn't think about anything, went through as fast as I possibly could, and I'm pretty sure I got 4-0'd in the first game. So I went back before game 2, and I just sat there and just said, okay, look, the best way I can go about beating this team is not to limit the amount of turns that he has and just not let him get all the way set up, because in that last game it lasted, I think, 7-ish minutes, and I was going through turns, and he knew exactly what he wanted to do. I was just trying to basically survive at that point. I was just trying to knock out everything as fast as I could without like any real regard to any strategy on my part. So game 2, I decided that I'm going to take as much time as I can and try and limit the amount of turns, because his team was very centered on getting being the ability to set up and just run training in as many turns, because it requires quite a few number of turns, because between the minimizes and the stock, getting all of your minimizes set up with the simple beam, it takes at least 4 turns on the minimizes. On the first turn, he minimized, and then the simple beam came after, I'm pretty sure, depending on if the muck outspeed. I don't actually remember. So it takes 6 turns per se to get all to +6 in evasion, +6 in stockpile. And then he also had power punch. That's 9 turns to get up to +6, +6. And really the muck really wasn't doing much other than, because its only other attacking move was Shadow Sneak, and the Audino had nothing on it. It had Psych Up, Simple Beam, Heal Plus, and Trick Room. So the goal really in game 2 was just try and knock out my goals. I led off with my team. I made up my team at the last minute. Don't do that if you go to VGC, even like any kind of tournament. Try and put some thought into it. Junior from California shows up. But actually the team I put together ended up doing quite well. I was eliminated in round 7, I think. But that's not important to this story anyway. So his team actually was Whimsicott, Malamar, Muck, Terrakion, Audino, and Amoonguss. Now the first game he brought the Muck, the Audino, the Amoonguss, and the Malamar. Okay, and then I got 6-0'd pretty much, or 4-0'd. As my opponent right now has a Garchomp, Breloom, Weavile, Adamant, or the Defiant, Bisharp, a Scizor, and a Rotom Wash. Common weaknesses: Scout. 4 weak to fire, 2 resists. Possible megas, and probably the Scizor, not the Garchomp, but I don't know, we've seen some crazy things. Rotom only weak to grass, so Breloom really doesn't do the best, especially considering the Weavile and the Scizor could potentially be running some shenanigans. But I think best case scenario right now is lead with the Hydreigon. And, probably not. I think best lead right now we could do is lead with Arcanine, then bring the Hydreigon, and Mawile isn't doing much. Breloom, I think, is a must-bring. Porygon 2, again, not doing that much damage to really anything, although some Tri-Attack shenanigans might be fun. Let's just bring Breloom for the fun bit. Alright, so going back to the story, so game 2 he leads off with his Whimsicott and Terrakion. Like, oh boy. I led off with Megaments, and I was expecting a lot of like Sand teams, because that was what I thought was popular going into Nationals. I didn't run into one Sand team, which was really disappointing. As I lead off with my Arcanine, he's got the Breloom, get it to -1. I'm just hopefully going to outspeed, fire off a Flare Blitz. Anyway, probably not going to outspeed. He's going to withdraw. Probably got him on the Rotom. Anyway, I'm going to the Garchomp. Ooh, this is going to be fun. Damn any fairies. I'm going to lock myself in there. Just why not? So you see Rough Skin, do we see the Rocky Helmet? We do see the Rocky Helmet, so I'm gonna probably take the hint as to that didn't go so hot. That did quite a bit of damage to myself. Anyway, so he leads off with the Terrakion Whimsicott. I'm leading off with Mega Salamence and a Sand Rush Excadrill, hoping that if I ever ran into like any Tyrantars on there, I'd be able to outspeed them. Thought being I'd outspeed them, go for an Earthquake, do as much damage to everything if they were also leading out as a mirror match with another Excadrill, or just trying to Iron Head the the opposing Tyranitar to smithereens. Unfortunately, never happened, but I was out there anyway. So first turn was very interesting because my Jolly Sandrush Excadrill was able to outspeed, so I'm going to lock myself in Outrage, because why not? His Garchomp's going to go for an Earthquake, that's going to take me out. Whatever. Anyway, so I lock my... I first, and for whatever reason, I don't remember what the Whimsicott... The Whimsicott went for beat up onto the Terrakion to get it up to plus, and I'm hitting a +6. So at that point, I'm freaking out because that thing could go for a close comp. Well, I had a Focus Sash on the Excadrill, so I wasn't worried about that. I was more worried about a Rock Slide, so I protected. Thankfully, it worked. So do I go for a hard read? Or do I go... Because I'm going to lock myself into something. I'm going to go for a Flamethrower, because I think he's going to switch. Oh, nope. Just kidding. Haha! Get a burn. Oh! That's funny. I'm going to have to switch out. And that's great. But I'm going to have to switch out. So I'm going to switch out into my own Breloom because... that's funny. That's funny. Not really, because I got critted. Anyway, so the Excadrill outsped the Terrakion, which shouldn't have happened under any circumstances whatsoever. Because it should have been faster. So I'm just gonna go for a Protect right here. So, and then the Iron Head also OHKO'd the Terrakion, which if the Terrakion was at top, if it had 31 IVs in both HP and defense, that shouldn't have happened. And I ended up calcing it out one time, and I don't remember how it worked out, but he didn't obviously spend enough time either I don't know, cheating, I guess is one way to call it, or sitting there for hours upon hours trying to figure out what the best way to go about doing that is. But here comes the Breloom. Oh, I'm gonna lose. Anyway, don't care. Oh boy. Wow, Mach Punch did a lot as the Breloom's gonna go for a Spore! Ooh, this just got interesting because the opposing Breloom's gonna go for Mach Punch. He outspeeds on that turn and is gonna take me out, and good luck, Hydreigon. So turn 1, he's down 4-3. I'm sitting with no damage, and he brings out, I think, he started setting up shenanigans, and then, so I took the full 45 to make my decision and try and, come out and dig myself out of the grave I dug myself. And not gonna matter. And so I just sat there for the 45 seconds, and I took my time, and it really felt that I was in control of the match. He had nothing that he could really do because I was limiting the amount of turns he could get. And even though that's kind of devious, don't think you're going to bring something that requires 9 turns of setup and think in a 15-minute game you're going to be successful at doing that, because there's no way, if you had any kind of brain, you'd kind of let that happen, sit there and let that happen to you. And I think we're going to have a bonus battle, because why not? Because I'm not done with my story. Yes. So he sat there, and the second game I ended up winning, I think 3-2. He was left off with the Muck and the Autonote, go figure. But they were both in the yellow, I think. So it really didn't matter much in the end of what was going to happen anyway at the end of the second game. So at the end of the third game, still going in, taking my full 45 seconds that I'm entitled to, sitting there waiting it out, and it ended up being he let off with his Muck and Autonote, since that worked for him the first game. So it ended up this time I don't think I changed the 4 Pokemon I ended up bringing, because I had a Choice Spec Sylveon, I I forget what else I brought, but there was something else that didn't really pay any attention. So my opponent's got on this team Metagross, Cloyster, Kang, Mega, Rotom Wash, Klefki, and Snorlax. Oh, this is going to be fun. Common weaknesses got 1, 2, 3, 4 weak to fighting, 2 weak to ground, 1 immunity. So, I think Breloom Hydreigon is fairly decent, and I don't know. Probably Breloom Hydreigon and Arcanine again, just depending on what order do I want to bring them in. Man, P2 might be fun in this situation. Celebra was useless. Mawile, Ironhead, I mean, doesn't do much against the Metagross, but Hydreigon covers everything right off the bat. I think I'm going to lead off with the Arcanine, bring Hydreigon and Breloom in the back. Nothing immune to Spore or any kind of shenanigans like that. So, third game, taking my full 47 seconds, it gets down to about like 5 minutes, and I figure I had roughly 4 turns left because VGC timer is 45 seconds to make your move, plus however long it takes for the animations to run through. So we'll use this first turn as the worst possible scenario for me plays out right now as the Rotom leads out. So we're going to see how long this turn timer takes. So the command time in VGC is 45 seconds for everything, and battle time is 15 minutes. So theoretically, if there were no move animations and it went from one turn to another without stopping, you'd have... I need to switch out. Hold on a second. Let's go into Breloom. So that's 1 turn. That's 2 turns every minute. 4 turns every 30 minutes. So math time, people. 4 times 5 is 20. So you'd have a maximum of 20 turns if the moves didn't. And I avoid the Hydro Pump. So I'm gonna fire off a safe Spore right now. So we're gonna see the move time. So watch. So start up 29:06. Spore's animation took like what, 8 seconds to complete, and the Rotom's fast asleep. To sleep. So that turn took roughly like 23 seconds long. So if you have to multiply that by 2 if you're playing with 4 Pokemon. So that's another, like, almost another minute per turn. So you're getting 1 turn every minute and 45 seconds-ish, depending on what kind of animations you have and the lot of that. So you gotta think that brings it down even lower, so you gotta divide that in half. So roughly divide it in half, so you could get a maximum of maybe 10 turns in per battle, depending on how things go. And moves like Bullet Seed that hit multiple times, they obviously increase the timer. The more text that shows up, the more time it takes up. So bringing a strategy that takes 9 turns to set up a muck is not smart, because that's not going to happen. Here comes the Kang. So I'm probably going to be on the poor end of a fake out right now. I'm going to go for a Protect, see what he's going to want to do. But, so, realistically, bringing something that requires 9 turns to set up, and then assuming that, oh yeah, my opponent's going to, especially in a best of 3, wanted, like, oh yeah, I'm totally going to give him 9, 10 turns to set up and just keep the battle going. It's not the world's smartest strategy, and it's not, I mean, what? Did you just use Fake Out twice? Okay, whatever. And his Kang's gonna fall asleep, and 2 Mach Punches should be enough to finish it out. Why do you go for people on Battle Spot? You guys never, ever fail to, like, amaze me. This should be, I think this is gonna be a 3-0. Very easy, no damage taken at this point. But don't expect other people to let you play around, especially because there's one battle that someone was complaining about on YouTube that he basically just let the clock run out. There's nothing wrong with that. Like, if that's how you win, you play to win. You play to win the game. I think that was what, Dennis Green? May he rest in peace. As Kangaskhan goes down, like, there's no, like, and the worst part about this whole thing is, like, my opponent at Nationals was very upset with me doing this. He's like, come on, faster, faster, faster. And look, I'm not here to indulge in your strategy that is frankly very annoying, that is, yes, legal. Is it fun? No. And is it fun that I'm taking all 45 seconds to make a decision? No. But is it right for me to win? Yes. And the funny thing is that I ended up winning outright that last game, even though it was going to go to timer anyway. He ended up pulling his 3DS up, because if you've ever been to like an in-person tournament, they're actually run off the IR port, which is that like translucent piece of plastic at the back of your 3DS. And he was doing that, like, he just walked away, because I think I got knocked out on his muck and Auto in game 3 with like, I think it was like a minute 20 left to go in the game, and he was very, very upset with that. So he ended up, he only had his Malamar on and Sylveon with Hyper Voice. That's not standing a chance. So Sylveon was going to clean up the game, because there's nothing the Malamar could do, because it knew Psych Up, Superpower, Rock on Slide, and Knockoff. So it wasn't exactly going to, you know. And the best is this Cloyster's probably going to outspeed me. Yeah, whatever. I could have gone for Mach Punch. Whatever. This is what I get for not paying attention. Anyway. But Arcanine here cleans up. And I'm going to go for the super effective Wild Charge. Anyway, so I cleaned up with the Sylvie. He ended up walking, like, I've noticed this because his 3DS, like, I'd selected my one, I think it was the turn before the last one, I'd selected the move. He'd pulled up his 2DS away, and, like, I was ready to go. The timer, like, had obviously gone past 45 seconds, and it's pretty much how it was right now. As you see, it just said battle time, but, like, it was ready to go on to the next one. He's just wasting his own time at that point. But, like, he got up and he's visibly, like, upset that I had actually won the last game. Whatever. I mean, I won fair and square. He just, I think he couldn't deal with the fact that I wasn't playing his way and wasn't going fast, and he couldn't handle the adjustments needed for a closer game, as that does absolutely nothing. As Celsius. Great. Yeah, should have paid attention. But right now he's sitting at +1. So, yeah, I should be able to take him out. Right? Yeah. This is Arcanine's defensive. We got this. Anyway, so he was just upset, and, like, I think the worst part about it was that he, like, pulled up his 3DS and walked away, or his 2DS for that matter, walked away before the battle was over, and they were just like, we were the last group going. Like, there's no one else playing. So we've been battling for almost a good 45 minutes, just sitting there and just waiting for this to be over, because, like, I knew I could win, and that's why you don't use Rock Blast, because it misses. Well, that's the risk you want, and that Wild Charge takes him out, and that's going to be the end of that battle. But the story will wrap up here shortly, so I don't know, I think that was, like, the worst, like, of all, like, potential plays of poor sportsmanship. That was it, just not accepting the fact that I had won and not letting him set up. Probably I could have gone faster, but I just think being in control is the most important thing you could do in a VGC setting, and just making sure that you play the way you need to play to win. Bottom line, that's how you play to win the game. But that's going to wrap things up for this episode. Thanks for watching this very, very, very long episode. If you have any suggestions or anything else, leave them down in the comment section down below. I will try to get back. Most likely not. Reading is for, I was elected to lead, not read. But I'm going to get on out of here. See you next time with hopefully a brand new team that will do somewhat well. Who knows? I'm just here to have fun. But until next time, I'm out of here. See you later.